Good morning, everybody. Denise with Lazy K Homestead. Well, today I am going to make more bread. And this bread is a bread that I used to make for my dad. He loved whole wheat bread, and my stepmom always made really great bread. But this is a no-knead bread, which is really nice, especially if you've got arthritis in your hands. And it does really well with rising. And where I got the recipe years ago was from a Mother Earth magazine, and that is the actual original copy. And it says right on there, no knead baking. Now I have tweaked this recipe to make it my own, but that's where I got this idea from. So I just wanted to let you know, if you want the recipe, I will go ahead and put the original recipe in the description, but I'll also kind of to the side how I've tweaked it to make it, because I make it a honey wheat bread because we have our own honey from our bees, and I just like a little bit of sweetness. So this bread takes whole wheat flour. You can use any regular whole wheat flour. This is Pillsbury's Best, is what I could get. Whole wheat flour is actually kind of hard to come by. We've got our wheat berries that I need to start grinding, but I think we're gonna cheat and order one of those electric grinders because it's really hard to do the crank. Even though we do the crank and we get her done, it takes a while. So, and it's nice to have your own whole wheat flour. You can also make cream of wheat with that. It's just really yummy. Add it to. So anyways, with this recipe, you need 4 cups of lukewarm water, and I warmed it on the stove, and it's about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in here in my 4-cup measure. And you need 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in here in the bottom of my bread bowl that I'm making. Let me go ahead and put this tripod down so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. There we go. That's a lot better. We made a lot of bread yesterday because we're going to the flea market tomorrow to sell most of our plants and everything. Okay, and here is a half. Oh, I just had just enough. Wow. Can't make any more bread till I get some more yeast. Okay, and to that, I'm going to go ahead and add this 4 cups of lukewarm water. Now, if you wanted to use milk, you can. I've done that before, but I kind of wanted to just to go by this recipe. And now like I said, add a couple tablespoons of honey. And the honey gives it a little tiny bit of sweetness, not a whole lot. This recipe has 5.5 cups of whole wheat and 2 cups of bread flour. So it makes a lot. Just get the honey off my finger. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of mix that around in here, and I'm going to let it bloom. Let me go ahead and put a little towel over it because it keeps the heat in, and it actually does help the yeast bloom faster. I've got one of my pieces of plastic from all the bread yesterday, and I'm just going to kind of gently put that over that. And this only takes a few minutes for it to bloom. There we go. Okay, set that over here. Now, in the original recipe, it does call for whole wheat flour and 2 cups of any kind of plain flour, which is an all-purpose. But then it also says to add 1/4 cup of vital wheat gluten. Well, if you have bread flour, that's already in that. So that's why I'm using bread flour. And you don't have to have that extra ingredient. And then we've got 1 tablespoon of salt, which will go in there after I've got that all mixed. And then you just let it rise, and then you're going to bake it. It's really a great recipe. So while this is blooming, I'm going to go ahead and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so our yeast mixture has bloomed, and you can kind of see it. I don't want to disturb it too much, but you can see it in there. It's all nice and fluffy. And to that, I'm going to go ahead and add the flour. I'm going to go ahead and start just with the whole wheat, and it's 5.5 cups. So you just go ahead and add all that in there. I pre-measured everything. Okay, and then I'm going to add the 2 cups of bread flour. Now I'm going to start mixing this around in my yeast water before I add the salt, because as you guys know, if you add salt before you get some of this flour incorporated, it could kill your yeast, and you don't want that. Okay, there we go. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of salt. Now you can use kosher salt. I use table salt. Clearly up to you. And this can also be to taste, and that's according to the recipe. All right, we're just going to go ahead and mix that with this dough whisk, which I love. And you can see it's really nice. It's so nice. This is a really sticky dough. I just want to let you guys know that ahead of time. And you do it all in the bowl. You don't want to put this with a dough hook, because this is a no-knead bread. So you are allowing all those gases that come from that yeast to stay in this dough. And when we let it rise and then we mold it into whatever shapes we want, we're not going to punch it down like you do with breads that you knead. Okay, there you go. It's all nicely incorporated there. You see how sticky that is? And we are going to let this rise for a couple hours, and then we will be back. So I am going to go ahead and put this on there gently. And put my flour sack towel in there. Okay, be back in a couple hours, guys. Okay, it's been about a couple hours, and I have taken off the plastic wrap and the tea towel, and you can see it's still pretty high. I did it very gently because you don't want to lose the gas in this. Like I said, you're not going to punch it down. So what I'm going to do, now you can refrigerate this at this point if you don't have time to bake and work with it tomorrow. But I'm going to go ahead and bake it today, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of the whole wheat down here. And this is not going to be in a loaf pan. It's kind of artesian bread where you shape it yourself. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pour this out on here. And it's a very sticky dough, as you're going to find out. Look at that. And with my hand, I'm just going to go ahead and get all of it out onto the floured surface. Sorry if I'm not showing this in here, but it is very sticky. Okay. All right, now what you're going to do with floured hands, just kind of sprinkle that flour on top there so you can work with it. Let me get my bench scraper here. Now you can make whole wheat rolls out of this. You can just make bread. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of cut this off like this. There you go. All right. Sprinkle just a little flour in there. You're not going to incorporate that flour in there, but you're just going to sprinkled on there so you can work with it. Okay. Now I'm just going to make this into a ball, like so. And I'm not kneading it, I'm just making it into a ball. Now on my cookie sheet, I have got cornmeal, and I'm using that. You can use parchment paper, just so this doesn't stick. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this over here. Let's see if you guys can see what I'm doing. Willis just walked in. Did you find it? Oh, okay. He's looking for a tool. His starter is coming for his four-wheeler today. So we're pretty excited about that, so we can get that back going. All right, and we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing. Now this one might be a little bit bigger, but that's okay, because like I said, it's an artesian bread. And you just make it into any shape you want to. And we're going to, after I'm finished shaping this, it'll be 3 loaves. We will let this rise again, but see, it's not that hard to get into a shape. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use another pan here. So let me get some more cornmeal. You know, if you make homemade pizza dough, you go ahead and you just put cornmeal on here too. It also gives it a really nutty flavor. And if you wanted to with this, because it is an artesian bread, you could also put not nuts, like sunflower seeds or sesame seeds on top, or you could add herbs to this dough. I didn't have any that I wanted to add today. There we go. Oh, just a little bit. And I am just gently, and I think I might go ahead and stretch this one and make it into maybe a oblong loaf. There we go. Go ahead and get that on here, and I can just stretch it a little bit longer like that. All right. So what I'm going to do now is let this rise again. And put a little bit of the plastic on here. Now it won't stick as bad this time because it's got the flour on it. And I've got another piece of plastic over here. Alright. Just gently put that on there just to keep the heat in. And I will put my tea towels over this. And this is going to rise, let it rise for about an hour and a half, hour to hour and a half. And then we will bake it. And it does bake at a high heat, 450. And we will have some yummy whole wheat, honey whole wheat bread. No need. All right, I'll see you in a few. Okay, guys, I'm back with the whole wheat bread, the artesian whole wheat bread. Now, what I did was about 30 minutes ago, I went ahead and preheated my oven at 450, and I put a little metal cake pan in there filled with water because you want some steam to be created in there because it helps make a really nice hard crust on here. So let me go ahead and put this down so you can see what I've got. See how nice and big they got? Now these are artesian loaves. I keep saying that because I want you to know it's not a loaf bread. It's going to be a round bread. You're going to cut it and have it for maybe with soup or with some kind of spread, something like that. It's really not a bread that you'd have a sandwich with. Although you could, but we always preferred it that way. So I've got the oven ready to go ahead, and I'm going to put these in here. And my water is boiling. There you go. That one. And here, this one. Now, let's see. I guess I'll have to do one at a time. I may go ahead and just put this one in the fridge. And I'll cook this one tomorrow And that way you can do that with this, which is really nice. And what I'll do is I'll just reshape it a little bit tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, cover it, and put that in the fridge. So we're going to bake this for 30 minutes at 450, and I'll be back with the loaf. Okay, guys, the whole wheat bread is done, and here it is. Such a lovely loaf. You could just tear this apart and put some butter on it, have it with some soup or some chili or a stew. It's just really a wonderful loaf, soft, super soft. There's the underside. You can see that cornmeal on there, makes it nice and nutty. So there it is, the artesian honey wheat bread. Hope you'll try this recipe. I think you'll enjoy it. But y'all have a great day. I think I'm done baking. Willis is making us some lunch, and we're going to chow down. Y'all have a great day. Bye.